crossing of these Iranian warships the same way they approved the crossing of any other ships through the canal.
Okay, so the fact that there has been that approval, Ralia, suggests that there's no change under this new military government, because I think people are probably looking for any differences there might be with regard to events like this.
Well, certainly, Kamal, if you talk to observers in the region, they'll tell you there's a lot of saber rattling, if you will, given the changes in Egypt in the past few weeks, the toppling of Hosni Mubarak's regime, a close ally to the United States and Israel in the region. There's clearly a lot of concerns about perhaps a rearrangement of the balance of power in the region, many saying the comments coming out of Tehran aren't exactly helping. But we have to understand from their perspective, the Suez Canal maintains and has maintained that Egypt is bound by international treaties when it comes to the passage of any ships, be it warships or commercial vessels, through the canal. That Egypt cannot exactly prevent the passage of any ships as long as the country is not in a state of war with the country where these ships belong to. So no change of policy there as far as the canal is concerned, Kamal.
Ralia Rage with a live update from Cairo. Thank you for that, Ralia. And the word coming out of Israel is that they consider this, or they previously said that they would consider any move by the Iranians like this as a provocation. Benjamin Netanyahu said on Sunday that he viewed this with gravity. Grave view of Iranian ships heading for the Suez Canal. Now, Afghan medical officials say at least 40 people are now known to have been killed in Saturday's suicide attack, making it the worst for 8 months. Taliban says one of its bombers blew himself up at the Kabul bank in Jalalabad, 33 more people injured. Meanwhile, a governor in eastern Kunar province has said recent attacks by US-led NATO forces have killed 64 people. NATO says it's investigating reports of 7 civilians being injured in those military operations. Reuters news agency reporting Pakistani troops have killed up to 15 fighters who attacked a security checkpoint. The incident took place in Mohmand, a northwestern tribal region on the Afghan border. The gunfight lasted several hours, according to local government officials. Troops have killed more than 100 fighters there in the past month. Early results from Uganda's presidential poll suggest the incumbent, Yoweri Museveni, is headed for a big win. Provisional results from nearly all the polling stations show he has 68% of the vote. Victory for Museveni would extend his 25-year rule by another 5, but the main opposition candidate has said the results are unacceptable. Somali governments confirmed 4 Americans who went missing on Friday have been kidnapped by pirates. The quartet was sailing on a private yacht off the coast of Oman when the ship was hijacked.
As a government, we confirm that 4 Americans were kidnapped by Somali pirates. We condemn this action. It is unacceptable. So the Somali government will try all it can to get information regarding this incident. We request the international community help stem the increasing piracy in Somalia.
To the Americas, and Venezuela's dismissed Washington's calls for an international investigation into alleged human rights abuses by Hugo Chávez's government. The inquiry is a key demand of a group of Venezuelan students who have been on hunger strike for more than 2 weeks. They say the government uses judges and prosecutors to target the president's political rivals. A 2-week-long transport strike in Colombia is now over. The government agreed to cancel a cut in the minimum fee which truck drivers are paid for hauling cargo. There had been thousands of truck drivers and their families blocking roads in and around the capital, Bogotá. It crippled parts of that city. Mexico's President Felipe Calderón says he is sending more troops to fight the drugs cartels in the country's north. The border region's become a battleground between security forces and gangs trying to control the lucrative smuggling routes into the United States. This extraordinary number that since 2006, more than 34,000 people have died in drugs-related violence.
We know the difficult circumstances facing the people of the northeast border and this entire region devastated by criminals without remorse. And due to the irresponsible actions of criminals from several groups, I announced that I have ordered 4 additional army battalions to this region with the aim of backing up the work of the armed forces.
Meanwhile, the southwestern Mexican state of Guerrero has been one of the country's most violent for decades as the army fought this long battle with guerrilla groups. But now, in a remote highland region, villagers have established their own system for local policing, and it is proving very effective. Our correspondent Mariana Sanchez travelled to Guerrero State to find out more.
An eventful day in Jolochitan, a tiny village in the highlands of the state of Guerrero. Dozens of prisoners were paraded under the watchful eyes of villagers. These alleged criminals are facing justice at the hands of the people.
There is no other solution for you. Respect, obey, and you will get a certificate for good conduct. That will serve you as your lawyer.
The detainees are facing charges from robbery to murder, some carrying sentences of up to 20 years. They were taken into custody by these men. They're known as the community police. They've been patrolling some 60 communities in these highlands for 15 years. They're unpaid village members, poorly armed. It's a mandatory service, and they say it is an effective security force.
At one point, violence was reduced by 95%. We've had some resurgence, but it's still the safest region in the state.
As the names and charges of the accused are read out loud, the prisoners listen. Their T-shirts meant to show shame. I am being re-educated, they say. The detainees will be taken back to their villages and spending the night in cells like this one. But during the daytime, the community police will escort them to the fields to do community work as a punishment. The detainees complain they are unlawfully imprisoned, men and women alike.
We're not allowed to claim for justice. We're not allowed to see a lawyer.
But the people of Jolochitan say they are backed by the Constitution.
The community police force may not be legal, but it is legitimate. The Constitution says the indigenous people have the sovereign right to govern themselves.
Community police commanders and coordinators face more than a dozen arrest warrants from state police for illegally arresting people. That is, officially. Because unofficially, the state police takes turns to visit these communities. They shake hands, exchange information, and are evidently content that in the end, crime is not such a problem in this part of Guerrero. It's a cause for celebration, they say, because these highland communities may be poor, but they feel safe. People have taken matters into their own hands here, and they say it has paid off. Mariana Sanchez, AlJazeera, Jolochitan, Mexico.
Just got time right now to bring you a story about the police in China. They've been involved in a rescue situation. Slightly unusual one, though. Have a look. They were called upon to give vets in a wildlife park a helping hand to administer medical aid to some dolphins. The mammals fell ill in a wildlife park in Shandong province, so the police were called in. They poured water over them for 2 hours to prevent dehydration, and the vets say if it all goes well, the dolphins will be fit enough to go back to performing in just a few days. All right.